Super Mario Movie 2! Mario Galaxy! Kind of both. It's a little confusing. So before we get on with the review, just as a little bonus thing, on the way back from the theater, I stopped at McDonald's to get one of the Mario Galaxy movie Happy Meal toys. They're in blind boxes because this is the current state of our society. So I thought we'd check it out and see which one I got here. Thankfully, I didn't have to buy any food for it, so that's a plus. It's, I got Toad. It's Captain Toad. These are kind of cool because you can, like, spin them around and actually use them as bag hangers. Or you can display them as just figures. That's neat. McDonald's toys are starting to get better again, so that's nice. Anyway, let's get on with the review. Anyway, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is the sequel to the 2023 film, which I already covered. I don't do sequels very often. That's kind of a rare thing. But this movie was boasting to be bigger and even better than that movie. And, well, it's definitely one of those. The plot of the movie is Bowser Jr. kidnaps Princess Rosalina because he needs her powers to power his planet that he created, Koopa Planet, where all the enemies and stuff hang out and they want to take over the universe or whatever. And Princess Peach and Toad have to go find her. Meanwhile, Mario and Luigi find Yoshi, who was teased in the end credits scene of the first movie, and they have to look after the kingdom while she's gone, but eventually they go after her as well. So my biggest concern with this movie, and I think was the biggest concern for a lot of people, was that this movie was going to be extremely crowded, because we already knew Yoshi was going to be in it, and then the first teaser dropped for it, and it was going to be the Mario Galaxy movie, which implied, you know, the Mario Galaxy stuff was going to be in it, Rosalina and the Lumas and all that. And then another trailer came out, and we saw Bowser Jr., and then they just kept announcing other characters were going to make appearances in it, and it got me a little concerned that the movie was going to be a little too bloated, which it kinda was. My other concern was when the first two trailers came out for this movie, it felt like they were from two separate movies, because the first one was Rosalina fighting off Bowser Jr., and then the second one was Mario and Luigi finding Yoshi and getting into all kinds of shenanigans with Yoshi, and it didn't really feel like they were one movie. It felt like these were trailers for two completely separate movies. They even put out some image where they just showed off every single character that was going to be in the movie, or at least at the time, the ones that they had announced. But a lot of them, and I did kind of figure this was the case, were just kind of background characters. Like they had the Star Bunnies from Mario Galaxy. They had the Pinatas from Pinatas or Pinata, I forget what they're called. The guy, the potato people from Mario Sunshine, as well as a lot of the enemies, and most of them were just kind of there to fill the background. So yeah, there were a lot of cameos in this, and the movie was very heavily referential, and I think that a lot of Mario or just Nintendo fans are going to really like it just for that reason alone. I myself was very excited to see the Mario 2 characters show up in this. In one of the first trailers, they showed off Birdo, who has become kind of a mainstay in a lot of the Mario games, but then we saw like Mauser and Claw Grip, the crab from Mario 2. I never thought we'd see that character in anything ever. But for me, the biggest one was Wart, who was the main villain in Mario 2, which was Doki Doki Panic. But yeah, we all know the story about that. But just the fact that they actually included Wart in this was very interesting. I mean, it is the second Mario movie, so obviously they were going to include some Mario 2 characters in it, even though it was also the Mario Galaxy movie, but again, just heavily referential. But that was really cool seeing Wart again, because they never really did anything with Wart outside of, a couple of cameos in other games. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool that Nintendo remembered Wart. Now they just need to remember him for a Mario game. Also, Tatanga. Bring back Tatanga. But of course, the big announcement was the inclusion of Fox McCloud from the Star Fox games, which blew everyone's mind. And it was kind of a rumor for a while, like a lot of information was being circulated, but nothing was confirmed, until eventually they just put out an image and confirmed it. And it was even confirmed, I believe, by the creator of Star Fox on social media. Honestly, I would have kept it a secret. I wouldn't have said anything and just let him show up in the movie. Imagine the audience reactions to that. I was also kind of wondering exactly what his role in this movie was going to be. Like, was he just going to be an overglorified cameo? But no, he actually stuck around a bit. I kind of figured out what his role was going to be, but I wasn't sure like how much of him we were going to get. But we actually got a lot of it. In fact, he was almost an essential character of this movie for a while. And I would dare even say he kind of stole a lot of scenes. He stole the movie a couple of times. And all the characters were going on about how cool he was, and he had the R-Wing, and he was fighting Bowser Jr. It was really cool. I would have expected nothing less from the Lylat System's best pilot. Now, without spoiling anything else for this movie, some other Nintendo characters do show up in this, non-Mario characters. And it was very interesting. Like, they made it work a bunch of times. Some of them were characters that I was not even expecting to make a cameo. And that being said, also, stay after the credits. But yeah, there was a lot happening in this movie, and mostly because it was, like I said, there's so many characters in this, they had to kind of break things up and then I guess bring everything together in the end. But fortunately, I thought things flowed pretty well. Like, things did naturally progress as the movie went on, because it was mainly split up into two parts. There was Peach and Toad in space trying to find Rosalina, and then Mario and Luigi and Yoshi and Bowser were off on their own adventures until eventually everything sort of met in the middle. So I feel like pacing-wise, they actually did a really good job organizing and taking care of all of these characters and not making it feel too crowded. That being said, there were a lot of things that happened in this movie that feel like they could have just been completely cut and it wouldn't have been much of a difference. Like, there was a scene where they go to the honeybees from Mario Galaxy. They go to their planet. Also, there was the whole bit where Mario and Luigi get turned into babies, which was seen very briefly in the trailer for this. That whole sequence just felt like the movie just stopped for shenanigans. I will say, though, the gun that they use for the transformation, Bowser Jr. had it. It was a Super Scope from the Super Nintendo, rather. I'm thinking that might have been just a small nod to the 1993 movie, because in that movie they had the Super Scope. It was the Devo gun, the de-evolution gun, which turned you into monkeys or lizards or whatever you evolved from. But in this movie, it was like a gun that turned them into babies, which is effectively the same thing. So I think that was a small nod to the 93 movie, and it was kind of nice, even though that movie is not great. A lot of us do appreciate it for a lot of the things it does, so it was nice that they actually kind of, made a small reference to it, maybe. And if I can be completely honest, Yoshi didn't even need to be in this movie. Yeah. So he was teased at the end of the first movie, and I believe I remember hearing something about how, he's going to be really important for the next movie, and I thought, they're going to make him the big hero or something. No, they just kind of find him, and he just kind of tags along. And that's about it. They, honestly, they could have saved Yoshi for a completely different movie. So, yeah, as much as I do love Yoshi, don't get me wrong, he didn't really fit in with this movie. I did, however, like a lot of the back and forths between the characters, especially with Bowser and the Mario Brothers, because there's parts in this movie where Bowser helps them, and he does help them in some of the games, too. Oftentimes, like in the RPG games, but still, it was kind of nice to see them actually, have some banter with each other. I also liked a lot of the back and forth with Mario and Peach, very heavily implying a romantic relationship between the two of them, which is how it should be, Nintendo. They're not friends. They never have been. The voice acting was really good, of course. Donald Glover as Yoshi was kind of a weird choice. Yoshi didn't really say a whole lot. Like, they had him basically be like how he is in the games, because he just kind of makes noises and says, Yoshi! So it was kind of odd that they casted a celebrity in that role. Supposedly he really, really, really wanted that role. I guess good for him, if that is true. Thankfully, they kept Yoshi pretty close to what he is in the game and not, have him speak, because a lot of people were wondering about that. We already heard him speak in the Mario World cartoon, but we really don't need to talk about that. Thank you. Bowser Jr.'s voice actor was really good too. Benny Gaffney, I think his name was. I might be getting that name wrong. Brie Larson as Rosalina was also very good. Her performance was very sincere and she kept the whimsy that Rosalina is supposed to have. Glenn Powell as Fox McCloud really did a good job. Also, Luis Guzman as Wart was great too, and it was great because Wart, because he's such an underused character, he doesn't really have any established voice. So having Luis Guzman kind of play him up as this sort of sleazy crime boss just feels perfectly right for the character. But I think one of my biggest problems with this movie, and I think a problem a lot of people have been having with it, is the same as the first movie. The voice cast in general is not really the best. The acting is good, of course, but most of the voices just do not fit the role. And some of them are really good. Like, I like Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek. I like Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach is really good. The Mario brothers, however, like, every time I hear Charlie Day voice Luigi, all I hear is Charlie from It's Always Sunny, because that's just his voice. And Chris Pratt tries really hard, but it's just, I still just can't envision him as Mario. You know, the problem is, like, these characters have established voices. You know, Luigi sounds like this, and Mario has, you can do the Brooklyn accent, or you can do the like the Italian wahoo accent, but it just, Chris Pratt, I think he is really trying, but it just doesn't come off as Mario to me. And that's just kind of the problem with the voice acting in this. I don't love the voice acting. I don't love Chris Pratt as Mario. I'm tolerating Chris Pratt as Mario, and that's not a good thing. Now, there is another thing I do need to bring up, and I'm going to try and not spoil what this is, but there is a massive lore change to this movie. Now, here's the thing. The Mario games, aside from maybe, like, the RPG games, but that's not the mainline stuff, and I guess Mario Galaxy, they're never really known for story or connective lore, or like, there's of course overlapping elements, yes, but story-wise, the games have always been kind of their own thing. In fact, I believe Shigeru Miyamoto once says that he sees the Mario characters as actors, and each game is just a new role they're playing. So each game is just kind of like supposed to be a standalone title. So that being said, yes, a lot of liberties can be taken, and I do find it very impressive that they've taken elements from so many different games. The original games, Mario World, Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, even Mario Odyssey, and even little references to other stuff along the way. And they've actually built a very impressive functioning world out of it that feels like it's alive and has people living in it. And there is a lot of room for liberties to be taken, because there have been things, along the way that have been in the games and people have speculated about and done game theories about, which are completely wrong. So I don't really know how to feel about this particular thing. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I guess in some ways it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, it just feels like something they just kind of made up on the fly for the movie. Overall, I really did enjoy the movie. It was a lot of fun. It was well animated. It was colorful. The characters were lively and expressive. The soundtrack was great. They used more original stuff from the Mario games instead of licensed music. There was a couple of times where they did, but it was nice hearing a lot of the more familiar stuff we've heard from the games. I've always loved the Mario Galaxy soundtrack, and you get a lot of that in this. And like I said, it's really impressive how they took elements from so many different games and actually made it into a fully developed, functioning world. And That's actually kind of impressive considering how diverse a lot of the Mario just incidental characters are. And admittedly, I'm doing this with a little bit of bias because, you know, like I said, I grew up with these games. This Mario 2 cartridge, this is mine from when I was a kid. I played this so many times. This was one of my favorite Mario games. And it was, again, really cool seeing this movie. So I think that a Nintendo fan is definitely going to love this movie. And the average person might have a little bit of trouble, but I don't think it's unenjoyable for just the average viewer because there's still a lot to like about it, like I said. But the references are going to probably go over a lot of people's heads. Maybe they could have pulled back on those a little bit and focused a little bit more on the story, but I do believe it is still a very watchable movie for just the average person. And last I heard, this movie is doing extremely well financially, which I think we all knew was going to happen. So I think it's a safe bet that there's going to be a third Mario movie. And if there is, I'm going to predict that the Koopalings are going to show up. Because they debuted in Mario 3. So they're probably going to be in the third movie. Then the movie will be really crowded. But that's all I got for the Mario Galaxy movie. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. My name is Rob, and have a nice day! Wahoo!